Our protagonist in this anime is named Alto Go, a first-year student at the Royal Academy of Magic. Currently, he's facing a critical problem: his exam scores. Although he's achieved maximum points in other subjects, those are only theoretical ones. The most important subject, completing a contract with a demon, is beyond his capabilities. This subject isn't even that difficult. He can easily pass by simply creating a contract with a few beetles. Yet, he failed. The teacher gives him one last chance. Tomorrow, he must complete a contract with a demon before the faculty meeting. If he wants to pass, this is Lilia, Anto's childhood friend. She's very worried about him and doesn't know if he'll pass. She's ready to beat the teacher if he fails. While in the library looking for a summoning book, suddenly a book lying on a shelf pops out and falls straight onto his head. "Look," he says. "This book looks old but pretty nice." So he took it home to examine it, and after opening it, he realized it was indeed a summoning book. The book even contained a summoning circle. He drew the circle as shown in the book and recited the incantation. At that moment, a beam of light emanated from the circle. He immediately dripped his blood onto it, and a plump girl with long, shoulder-length purple hair and a pair of horn-like tails appeared. But the most striking thing was her two grapefruit-like breasts. Yes, these were the grapefruits from the legends. She approached him and asked what he had summoned her for. He stared at the grapefruits in astonishment. After a while, he came to his senses and said he wanted her to become his wife. No, his demon messenger. Immediately, an extremely powerful energy surged out. Even she was surprised by the immense power he emitted. A contract was attached directly to her chest and his hand. The contract was placed on her, and she kissed him to absorb his demonic power. Her name was Vermeil, a demon who had been sealed away 300 years ago. Now, both of them. The contract was made, and now Aunt will be the master of this pair. She will do everything if you want it to be amazing. Then, Aunt called out to the girl wearing the cloud-like outfit, but the outfit she wore made everyone blush. Then, Aunt said that his magical power was so abundant that it was like deadly poison to all things, and that's why no other ghost dared to accept his summoning. Why did Aunt accept to be his ghost when she could break the contract and even kill him if she wanted? She had been trapped in this book for a long time, and he was the one who freed her, so becoming a ghost was too cheap a price for this freedom. The next day, when she went to give her assignment to the teacher, he said she was just an ordinary woman. So Aunt proved it by pulling up her shirt to show him the contract. This contract was so big that Aunt was qualified to be level 52. During class, Aunt kept showering Liliagen with dog food, a term for overly affectionate behavior, making her friend Liliagen blush. Going to school and sitting there hugging her like that? Who wouldn't be jealous? Even the teacher was helpless and let her do whatever she wanted. The teacher reminded her, as if there was no law against a ghost sitting with its master. So, she couldn't stop her from giving the whole class a dog meal. After watching her hug her continuously, Lilia screamed and was invited out into the hallway after class. Lilia then asked Aunt to settle this matter and challenged him to a duel. If she won, he had to keep these two grapefruit in his room and only use them when necessary. At this point, Aunt made a condition. If Lilia lost, she had to do anything Aunt wanted. After hearing that condition, Lilia's mind went dark. She didn't mind Aunt wanting to suck her breasts. The duel would be held in the magic arena above the academy, and the audience would be the students of the school. Liliaco immediately summoned the wind spirit. Summoning a spirit at this age was quite surprising. But she couldn't. It's undeniable that she inherited the bloodline of a long-standing family of excellent mages. A super tornado was launched straight at him, but Vercloud intervened and blocked the entire attack without any difficulty. "You've stopped teasing, right? Now it's my turn. It's time to tease Lilia," making her moan. Her moans echoed throughout the school, stimulating tens of thousands of boys to salute. Finally, she lost, so now Lilia has to do what Aunt has given her. And the first thing I want her to do is befriend King Cloud. So they both agreed to be friends and shook hands, but this handshake was very strange. That night, to make up for what happened that morning, Lilia wanted to be rewarded with some magic power. This kind of magic power absorption. He's so sad. If I were Min, I'd willingly give all my magic power to her to absorb. That's just talk. Actually, ordinary people can't withstand the power of demons of the same level as her. Even with surgery, they would explode from the inside or die of dehydration due to lack of magic power. You get what you pay for. Kissing to absorb magic power is a bit boring now. She wants to try kissing someone else to absorb magic power, but he stubbornly refuses and insists that a kiss is enough. just like the Buddha's teachings. In episode 2, a high-level demon escapes and rushes into the academy. At the same time, Ont and Vercloud are there. When the demon rushes into Vercloud, she just flicks it, and it flies straight to heaven. During the opening ceremony, the future students are not interested in what the teachers are saying, but only in the 2 coconuts hidden behind her clothes. Ont and she have already become known throughout the school after the incident where a dragon flew straight into the altar. During class, no one can concentrate on studying with this woman constantly hugging Ont. After class, a 5th-year student named Dragon Knight comes to take revenge for Vercloud daring to flick his dragon. He flies to the moon and thinks Vercloud must have some trick to punch the dragon. Seeing her looking so weak right when Vercloud and the 2 53-year-old men were arguing, Ont sneaked up behind them and froze them, successfully ambushing them. Just as they were about to return home, Rich was furious. He summoned a dinosaur ghost to teach them a lesson. As the ghost was about to attack, Ont hugged him, returning all the magic power she had given him the day before. She used all the magic power to instantly enhance Ont's ice cage skill, creating a massive ice blast that finished off the dinosaur, leaving Rich stunned for 5 seconds. After returning home, Ont said that the knowledge he learned at school was quite limited, and that with this kind of education, would he ever achieve what he wanted? And if he wanted to learn to be rich, she could rob a bank for him. But what he wanted wasn't wealth, but to become a skilled mage. Mages in this country are divided into 4 ranks: gold, silver, bronze, and apprentice, arranged in a similar order to games. Playing now, but in this world, even getting a bronze certificate is hard enough, and in this academy, only a few people can reach silver and platinum ranks. The rank he wants to reach isn't gold, but platinum. So, Cloud said she would make his dream come true. But first, let her have a little bit of his magic. The next day at school, 2 boys arrived. One was Mark Pastor, a classmate of Ont and Lilia. He was overjoyed to hear that Mark had beaten up an upperclassman. His family belonged to one of the great noble families, so he usually had a maid accompanying him. The girl accompanying Mark was Treble Iris. At this time, the 3 of them were asked by the new principal to choose a student representative for grade 52. Only one of the 3 would be chosen, as self-selection wouldn't be fair. So the principal gave them a special challenge. Whoever was the first to bring back the fairy flower before 6 p.m. would be chosen as the representative. The fairy flower this flower is very rare. It's used to make medicine. In this challenge, the young man didn't invite the ghosts along. The story is that he also wants to run for representative, and the boy finds that old man unreasonable for not having 11 guys who failed 9 subjects like him as representatives, so he will compete with 3 others. He'll summon the demon from the land and then run off to find them first. But he doesn't know that this forest has many tree ghosts. How can he run away when he'll be eaten by a tree? In short, that's it. She'll probably give up to save her master. He's already a clown, and now he's reporting too. And the tree named after the female is currently up there, guarded by a 3-headed dog below. But for Lilia, that's a small matter. She brought invisibility potions, and indeed, she became invisible, but her outfit wasn't. So Lilia had to ride all her gear to sneak in. Now Lilia is in action, but she can't think of a way to get Onito, so she has to step in. But first, she needs to absorb some magic power. When Onto was with Lilia, the dogs smelled her, but didn't know where she was. They then barked, letting Lilia know they were almost there. At this moment, Onto, playing the hero, rushed in to play with the dogs, but Lilia seized the opportunity to grab the flower. Just then, after absorbing Onto's magic, she felt incredibly refreshed. She created a barrier, knelt down, and shot the dogs, leaving them helpless. Lilia had obtained the flower, but she gave it to Onto because he deserved it. At this moment, the invisibility potion wore off, and she felt incredibly embarrassed. She had accidentally let the flower fly away. As she was pulling Mac back, the flower fell right in front of her. Huang To and Lilia both saw it and accepted it. Channel. In episode 3, Onto bought his wife an ice cream. She tried a bite and found it incredibly delicious. Since her era was 500 years ahead of the present, it wasn't surprising that Vermeil enjoyed such sweet treats. At this moment, a group of dragons flew across the sky. That's really cool! And this group is the Dragon Knights, founded by Chris, one of the 5 gold-ranked students at the academy. She's also a member of the Student Council's executive board. He felt admiration and was filled with motivation, knowing that reaching the gold rank while still in school was real, and that they were all members of the council's executive board. They were elected by the academy's leaders. At this level, even professors had to bow to them. Now I wonder if that girl even got accepted into the academy, wearing the student's PE uniform like that. He was dreaming about the time when he lived like that. Then, 2 grapefruit-sized breasts landed right in his face. "This guy is the luckiest in the Gulf of Tonkin!" While the boys were changing clothes, she took the opportunity to gather some information for her secret research. She was online with her 2 girlfriends on the way. Finally, ahead, a group arrived, none other than the 5 members of the school's leadership team. The little girl with orange hair, after passing Anto's group, set her sights on Ver. As night fell, she immediately gathered her group, especially Rich and his younger brother. She wanted to question them about why they lost to a lower-grade student. It was a humiliation for the team. Without hesitation, she dared him, making him bleed profusely, and he begged her to let him join the Dragon Knights. He thought this girl was a real. She made him lick the blood off his shoes, but he'd rather die than do such a ridiculous thing. And here was the Dragon Knights captain, Chris. The target she was about to target was none other than Anto. The next day, Great invited him online to talk. He asked what he thought of dinosaurs. From his perspective, dinosaurs were incredibly cool, but in reality, they were quite weak. At that moment, something about Creed was told to Alto, and the next day, he decided to challenge her, probably to avenge Red. And now we get to witness the power of Onto. After those girlish words of his, in episode 4, he shoots out a gigantic ice shard. Chris doesn't just stand by and tries to break it, but when he breaks it, where are those 2? This makes Create feel a bad omen. From this moment on, he uses his crystal to lift himself behind her. He then rushes down at lightning speed, approaching and holding the crystal shard straight at Create to claim victory. It's a spectacular and dramatic match, with both opponents having a huge difference in rank, but the result is unbelievable. The victory goes to the one with the lowest vote percentage, Onto. After watching this match, the students cheered with joy, as the male student Onto finally humiliated Chris. After this match, Onto will take a big step towards becoming a top student in the school. Lilia, however, wasn't happy at all. She was even more jealous, as the female students kept coming to ask Onto for autographs. Being jealous of Wang Yun is already tough enough, and now these girls are adding to it. Maybe she should transfer schools, or go back to her hometown to raise fish and grow vegetables. Teacher Obsidian also came to congratulate the service for winning against Grit, but said that he shouldn't challenge people so casually. What if he loses? Who knows what they'll do to him? The girls were clinging to him. Just now, when they saw Teacher Obsidian arrive, they switched to following him. He even asked Lilia if she was also his type. Lilia immediately transformed into a lion and gave him a good beating. Meanwhile, Chris, after losing, had to accept the punishment of going to the cold court. He came to ask her what she was doing, but winner takes all, loser takes all. She had to fulfill her promise. As a captain, if she lacked authority, her subordinates wouldn't respect her. She apologized to him for her previous words. She had finally learned her lesson. Then, every night, she slept with Wang Yun and got kissed by her. She was so happy, yet still shy. This guy, really? The next day, he stopped his car and kissed her grapefruit-sized breasts and lips. He immediately rushed to the library to find Professor Oxy, who was asking about demons falling in love with humans. This was mentioned in the book. Yin covers. And it was difficult to understand their actions at that moment. He asked the professor if a superhuman could like a man. The answer was yes, but only because she liked his magic. After that answer, he became even more confused. So that evening, he decided to ask her if she was only staying there because she wanted his magic. But to Wang Yun, that question was ridiculous, because magic was readily available outside, and she needed it to live. She then gave him a sincere kiss to prove it, and this kiss didn't drain his magic. She only kissed the person she loved. The next day, the professor called a female student to his room. The two hugged, seemingly very sweet, until a syringe was pulled out. When everyone discovered her, she was unconscious from the extreme cold, and the entire room had frozen. The female student's name was Emma Abelin, a fourth-year male student specializing in ice magic, analyzed that ice magic consumes a lot of energy, and silver magic alone wouldn't be enough to create such a thick layer of ice. This wasn't the first time, as there had already been 3 such cases. On the online school, he had to write a report about his magic, so he had to measure his height, take his 3 measurements, and record his characteristics, activities, and hobbies. While he was measuring his hips, the two women sneaked into his room to see if he was doing anything naughty so they could catch him red-handed and beat him up. After observing the situation inside, they reported back to the women, who then went upstairs. Today would be the day they exposed the whole truth about Lilia. After that, they would take an invisibility potion and break into Anto's room, but once inside, they were completely overwhelmed. From episode 5, the two of them went to buy food to cook, and luckily, she really liked sweets, so she begged them to. He wanted to buy it, but he didn't have much money in his wallet, so he didn't buy it. She sulked like a child, and then she pouted like a baby. The question was, do housework, cleaning the bathroom, etc. So he said he'd buy her one, and she immediately hugged and kissed him, making everyone on the other side look on with envious eyes. Meanwhile, Rick's younger brother came to Owen's side, begging him to help his brother. On this side, Chris was being tormented by a centipede, but this place was strange. He seemed possessed by something. He kept hitting Chris, telling her to get up and fight again. At that moment, On's group arrived. The centipede immediately summoned a creature, but its form was exactly like him, a furious form. At that moment, a girl ran up and wielded the judgment sword, instantly finishing off the dinosaur. Both he and Chris were freed from the demonic power and fainted. This girl was Elena, the student council president of Ochgia Academy. After the battle ended, Vernon had thought about this a lot. It seemed she knew something about this power. Elena went with her to ask Vermeil, "Do you know what kind of power that source of power has?" Vernon's answer was no, baby. While Onto and Lilia were talking, Vernon told Onto that she was a little tired and asked to go back to her room to rest for a while. This was the first time she had said this, making Onto feel worried. He also noticed that after the incident where she lost control, she had been acting a bit strangely. Now, Vernon left. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Lilia. She immediately called him to her room to study. As for Vernon, she didn't go back to her room to rest, but went outside the dormitory. She knew exactly what that power was like. At the same time, she met Onto's teacher. Without needing to talk at length, she pointed directly at Oxydan and asked if he was right. This surprised him a little, but he had to pretend he didn't know anything and didn't need to hide it anymore, as Vernon had been watching him for quite some time. She had smelled something low. His words were full of humiliation for him, and she didn't care what he did to the students, but she had some honest advice. Such a person possesses immense power, and because she didn't care, she wouldn't tell anyone about it. If he dared touch the car, she would tear him to pieces with her own hands. But with that smile, he probably wasn't afraid. While she wasn't paying attention, he immediately lunged forward. He injected the substance into the Cloud King, and the contract mark continuously lit up, emitting dark magic. The sky immediately darkened. Elena felt something ominous. As she ran towards the Cloud King, she was blocked by a demon. This was her true form, another demon filled with rage. In episode 6, he created a chain of magic to bind her. Onto and Lilia had also arrived. 7-2, and the drug he injected into the Cloud King earlier was a type of madness he had created. At this moment, without hiding anything from him, she revealed that he was behind all the student riots these past few days. Onto continuously drained her magical power, and when it reached its peak, she immediately rushed forward at incredible speed, intending to finish off the teacher. However, for some reason, Onto lunged forward to block the attack instead of the teacher. Seeing this, the demon's mind gradually awakened. A portal opened before her eyes, revealing Onto's figure, extending his hand to welcome her back. Outside, after the Demon King realized he had killed Onto, all his madness was directed at the teacher, becoming even more terrifying, but Onto still had a little strength left. He desperately ran to embrace Vermeil, holding her tightly in his arms. "No, wife! Don't kill them!" All of his wife's madness instantly vanished. She returned to normal, but she knew nothing. She couldn't control herself. It was like a nightmare, but for him, it was good that Vermeil was no longer insane. After that sentence, he had already died, but for Vermeil, he was someone she couldn't leave. Then, with a kiss, she transferred golden magic power back to him. All the magic power returned, and the terrible wounds healed. The teacher's plan had fallen apart when Vermeil returned to normal. Everything was exposed. But since the plan had failed, he decided to inject that drug into himself. Now we will see what a person with immense power becomes like after being injected with that madness drug. And the result is a mutated demon. Although he has become a true demon, he still has to wear glasses to maintain his intelligence. He lunged to attack Vermeil, but she only needed one punch to kill him. This is just a miniature version of her, but this power is still terrifying. He escaped from this heavy body and tried to run away, but Create was already there and fired a straight shot at him. Unluckily, he rushed forward at incredible speed and, concentrating his strength, punched, shattering the glass of knowledge and sending him flying straight to the bottom of society. Kanto woke up after everything was over and asked if the person who revived him was the one who did it, but it wasn't quite right. His heart was beating because of her magic, and they had intertwined. He was now alive, but also dead. The heart beating inside him was hers, the heart of a true demon. This meant that if she died, he would die too, and vice versa. Because it was her fault, she would give him that demonic heart and would die with him. Osidan got a ticket to the chicken coop. Those he injected with drugs also woke up. Vermeil and Onto had changed quite a bit after that incident. His heart needed Vermeil's magic to function. She had already limited her conversations and contact with him because she knew he had seen her true form, but she would still take responsibility for transforming him into this, by converting this primary magical power into demonic power to nourish the heart. This would take centuries, but if it was finished, her task would be complete, and now she would hide in another book. But he didn't like this. He immediately kissed her without absorbing her magical power. She was his demon, so he needed her by his side forever. After saying that, he ran outside. Wang Yun remembered what Onto had said before, that he should only kiss those he loved, making her blush. In episode 7, when he arrived at class, everyone was crying and sad. The girls were weeping for Oridan, and the boys were even more distressed. But not because of the teacher, but because of Wang Yun. Now they didn't need to go to school to absorb knowledge, they only went to school to admire Wang Yun. Now that he didn't bring her along, they felt lost. With a little more emotion on her side, while Cloud was alone, Lilia arrived, and Cloud didn't forget to apologize for hiding her identity. But actually, nobody cared about that. Whether she was a demon or a human, what people cared about most was whether she was good or evil, and more importantly, how she felt about Ont and how he perceived her. If she had become a demon, Ont would have completely accepted Lilia. Then, she hit Cloud to wake her up. After returning home, she told Ont all her feelings. He, of course, accepted her feelings and wanted her to stay. He didn't forget to buy her some pastries on the way back. The next day, she had her school uniform, but when she put it on, it looked strange. At this point, the episode will introduce us to two characters that Cloud and Ont are about to face. The accomplices of the teacher Obsidian. These two have massacred the area. A mage luckily escaped and seized the opportunity to launch a sneak attack, accompanied by a warhorse with a long horn. 5 meters away, a single blow instantly killed this boy, who, bearing the name of the Heavenly Mandate, once held the Platinum rank. But for some unknown reason, it was revoked. This woman, nicknamed the Messenger Helio, is currently at the Gold rank. When Cloud returned to school, the classmates were overjoyed, as if they had won the lottery. It exceeded their expectations because Cloud was wearing an extremely eye-catching uniform, and there was an announcement that the Bronze Age exam was approaching. Now, they had to ensure the mage was in the best physical condition to demonstrate the global nature of the mage. Just as they were about to start class, Elena arrived. She wanted to take him with her, and her purpose in inviting him was to ask for more information about the previous incident. Before she was stopped by something, she didn't know what it was, and now she couldn't interrogate Offerdon because he had escaped from prison yesterday. At this moment, she looked at him with a murderous gaze and asked him what he was hiding. Jessica immediately put her sword to his neck, and he had to. He told the truth, that his heart was a devil, and he corrected himself, saying that while Cloud might be a devil, she wasn't evil, and what happened wasn't her fault. If possible, he could even be expelled. It's true that at first, he summoned her only hoping for good grades, but now she's more important to him than the school itself, and if these people harm his living ghost, he will fight back. After this, Elena and Shinoji agreed and let him stay, because the school's motto is that all ghosts are equal. But Jessica didn't accept it, but Elena said that if necessary, she could just decapitate Onto. The next thing she wanted to ask was if he wanted to join the student council. In episode 8, Cloud warned him to be careful when joining the council, saying she knew that Elena had a strong point. She felt like she wasn't human, and if he refused this invitation, that sword would definitely decapitate him. He thought, if things continue like this, there will come a day when we can no longer lie to everyone, and that will be very dangerous. You want to be stronger. The next day, he went to the council room. As soon as he opened the door, oh my God! Everything was huge, but it was all over the place. Elena and Chris didn't care much about the wardrobe malfunction. But Jessica was different. She couldn't accept a guy seeing her naked before her wedding. In the 4.0 era, who would live with that kind of Fujoshi mindset? The reason she invited everyone to this meeting was to show them this thing, a magical material that a strange mage used to confront her before. It was just a small piece of a larger item, and according to experts, this magical material was unlike anything in the magic bank, and even gold-plated experts couldn't decipher it. This means our enemy this time could be a platinum-level mage. On the low-list side, he returned to the research room and met the woman. This girl, also at the platinum level, is named Ha Kumiza. She is the owner of the material that Elena found, and she is currently researching to revive the demon to serve their purposes. Their next target is Li Chang, who is Wang Yun. He appears in a strange room in front of a woman, or more accurately, the spirit of a woman. She gives him two paths to choose from. One is to be righteous and serve the purposes and interests of humanity. The second is to be greedy and selfish and serve that child. Her final question is, what do you think of her? Onto then wakes up. It was just a dream. He then returns to his desk to continue studying for his exams, while the girl wakes him up and tells him to go to bed early. She says, if he's worried about the practical exam, why is he studying so hard? He is then possessed by the girl who absorbs his magic power. The next day, he opens the book that sealed Wang Ming and wonders who the person is. After sealing her away, the woman from his dreams reappeared in his mind. The exam day arrived, and he and his friends went to the exam room. Second-year students from various schools gathered there in large numbers. In front of them was a sphere. Colonel Farron of the Royal Army came to explain this year's practical exercise on energy supply. This sphere could assess the quantity and quality of each student's magical power. They would test everyone's ability to supply energy through a barrier. In Episode 9, the students took turns supplying energy to the sphere, but no one could do it. Some even called upon their mages to help, but it was still no use. When it was Lilia's turn, she would show the students below. She summoned her mages and poured all her power into the sphere, causing a large flame to erupt. Mastering this magical power was her skill, and the students of Atiga School all performed very well. Except for the clown, who tried his best to create a shadow, but the flame didn't rise much. When it was Ont's turn, he transferred his magical power. Upon entering, the fire immediately turned a silvery purple, and everyone knew whose magical power it was. He channeled an extremely powerful amount of magic into it, causing the sphere to explode, much to Colonel Faison's surprise. He couldn't believe it, because even the golden and platinum students couldn't break it, yet this second-year student had done it, much to his delight. At the academy, this young man was furious at the arrogant Origzag students, who thought they were superior. Just as he turned around, Lollis was there. Without explanation, Lollis immediately killed him and borrowed his name tag. The two girls were very chica, feeling anxious that the platinum students were involved this time. They were surprised to find that Ont had a demon messenger. But Selena thought it was amazing, a human and a demon, master and demon messenger. If their connection was real, her mission was to tell the council the truth about this magic, and to tell Jessica that Ont had fallen in love with that demon. Those things are called magic. Louis and I arrived at the exam room, but I was surprised to see this guy suddenly appear. In Episode 10, during the exam, everyone was highly focused and extremely tense, but Louis had already immersed himself in a world of rain. I was shocked to see him sleeping. The questions on the exam were all for the silver level. He woke up at the end of the exam. Look at him. He just swiped a few times and completed the exam automatically. It was even more shocking than logic. Then, I glanced at the automated answer key to help him, but the invigilator gave me a good scolding. At this point, the invigilators announced important news. A student had died in the restroom. Knowing he'd been exposed, Lolita summoned a golem to destroy the area. The teachers tried to stop him, but to no avail. Outside, Helio used magic to teleport out and help. Inside, Vermont was constantly being attacked by the golem. Looking at the golem's cannon barrel, I almost fainted. This guy is small, but Toan uses big stuff, and as for To, he was already angry. His body was filled with golden magic. Looking at the extreme battle, he unleashed magic, firing continuously, successfully destroying the golem in the blink of an eye. We can call this Super Auto. Lolist was very excited, auto-attacking and punching. Lol. He summoned a knight to stab him, but luckily it only stabbed his shirt and not his heart. Lolis told On his goal, to destroy this world. That's why he needed the power of Vermeil and other demons. On heard this, he immediately crushed his spear and rushed to punch Lolis. But with his lack of combat experience, Lolis was instantly shocked and unlucky, unable to withstand the transformation into a demon. But she didn't know that Louis was just waiting for this moment. As soon as she rushed forward, chains immediately bound her. He took out the key, activated and sealed Vermeil, causing her to lose all her abilities and faint. He was about to take her away when Vermeil stopped the knight. He was preparing to fire a shot at her, thinking it would all end there. But when the orb was launched, it was instantly destroyed by a shield. The sealed book of Cloud King slowly moved and opened, revealing the soul of the woman from his dream. She was the ancient mage, the first to reach the bottom of magical knowledge, and she was the one who sealed Cloud King in this book. The form everyone is seeing now is not her, but a part of the memory of the day Cloud King was sealed. She buried a part of herself inside to prepare for this day. Don't misunderstand. She sealed Cloud King herself. Cloud King asked her to interview her. She only helped Cloud King and asked Onto what he thought about Cloud King wanting to do that. Currently, what is sealed is only her memory. Emotions and memories sometimes become a chain stronger than magic. Another question for Onto was whether he was ready to accept Cloud King's true self, but he was always ready to accept, no matter what. No matter what, he would still accept it. So this woman would lead him to her place. This place. The world in Vermeil's mind. The world she always wanted to forget. This world of memories is separate from space and time, so it has no connection to the outside world. But be careful, because if you can't save her, your mind will also be trapped here. Before you is the past, 550 years ago, when Ochia was just the name of a continent. This petite girl is Wang Mei. In episode 5, she is happily bringing the wreath she made back to give to her mother. When she was little, she was very cute, and as she grew up, she became even cuter and more attractive. No wonder her family couldn't get her. She was raised by the nuns along with other orphans. Although not related by blood, they were family to her. They experienced happy days together, and this period was the happiest time of Vermeil's life. She worked alone, like a wandering ghost. Showbiz used a bow to cover the bed. She cared for a demon, even while serving God. This is not blameworthy, but on the contrary, shows that she possessed the qualities of a true saint. The happiest time of her life, though seemingly insignificant, ended when everyone knew she was a demon. She was constantly bullied. They held a memorial service and urged her to leave town. Miel, the only two in the family, always protected her, even knowing she was a demon. Things only got worse as rumors spread too quickly. Everyone gathered at the church, throwing stones to protest and refused to accept living with a demon. After this, she tried to comfort her children, hugging them tightly. She went outside to explain, telling Miel to escape from town. She would go with her siblings to stop them. Perhaps this was the last hug of her family. As she tried to run away, she remembered her family and decided to run back to save them. But when she arrived, they were no longer in this world. Witnessing 4 of her loved ones being hanged and killed, the memories and words of the nun flooded her mind, causing her immense suffering. The villagers found her and continuously cursed her, saying she and they deserved to die. This caused the demon within her to erupt, destroying everything. After the rage subsided and she returned to her human form, she could only sit and cry. This is the entire scene of the disaster she brought to the town. Compared to the plague, her rage was far more terrifying. This is also where Ver's lonely life began. Her power was always hated by other demons. The boy, who witnessed everything, came to hug her, and her heart swelled with emotion. Ver began to cry like a child. She killed everyone, but because she was afraid of being hated, she didn't reveal it. She was a solitary monster, so no one would like her, but no one disliked her. Deep down, her sisters didn't abandon her, and everyone watching loved her. Right? If everyone likes volleyball, please comment below and let me know. And as for Alto, if they say being with her is wrong, then he won't be right. The two then kissed, the sealing chain was immediately destroyed, and both returned to reality. In episode 12, Lotus said, "I'm sitting here sleeping, and when I wake up, I still have to wait for you guys, so I'm annoyed." He summoned a knight and continuously said unpleasant things, trying to brainwash Lotus. "But sorry, I don't have a brain for you to brainwash. You're just a hot-headed guy who sleeps all day. How could you know how much volleyball has suffered?" The knight attacked volleyball, and at this moment, They joined forces and fired an extremely powerful crystal shard. Destroy the knight. Lord was quite surprised that these two had gone so far. He prepared seriously, but Helio appeared, telling Lotus to hurry back. It was time for dinner. He accepted that Lotus had won, but it wouldn't be long before he arrived to end this matter. Aunt promised Wang Yun that he would try to become stronger so he could protect her and Fatima. She hadn't chosen the wrong person, as she had initially controlled the book that fell on his head. Now she could rest assured, entrusting her friend to Wang Yun's care and officially leave this world. The two returned to the academy, where everything Lolita had destroyed was restored to its original state. Aunt returned to his training days with the girls in the guild. There was no progress to be seen in him, only getting beaten up. But because he had promised his wife's friend, no matter how much he got beaten up, he had to maintain his intention and determination to become stronger in the future. After this incident, everyone met and announced that they would always be ready to fight against the Platinum Gang at any cost to protect the academy and everyone. And so, the anime ended. How did everyone feel about this anime? Personally, I found it very good. The film was full of emotions, but the combat part was still. That's not enough. I'll end the video here. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel, so we have the motivation to create more great videos for you all.